You need to get out of her face. Go to another room, a whole other separate room. That was a 911 dispatcher on November 28, 2019. Thanksgiving night. She was talking to a man who had just shot someone. But rewind 30 minutes earlier, and that same dispatcher had sent police to this exact address. Because the woman inside had called for help. Raven Gant was 27 years old. She was trapped inside her ex-boyfriend's apartment with her 2-year-old daughter. The door was locked. The man she was afraid of wasn't just controlling. He was a convicted murderer who had already served time for shooting his own friend in the back of the head. Police knocked on the door, got no answer, and left after 2 minutes. 30 minutes later, Raven Gant was shot in the back. 1 bullet. Fatal. Her toddler daughter standing in the next room, crying for her mother. This is the story of Raven Bianca Gant, a young woman with the dreams of hotel management. A loving mother, a daughter, a sister, a friend. A woman who finally found the courage to leave her abuser, only to be pulled back in for the last time.
911, what's your emergency?
Yeah, I got my daughter's mom. She's done some crazy stuff with me.
The first by Randall Watkins, Raven's ex-boyfriend, at 4 p.m. When police arrive, Watkins is refusing to let Raven inside to get her and Arjea's clothes.
All of her clothes are in, all of her diapers.
But the officer can't convince Watkins to cooperate and tells Raven it's a civil matter.
Unfortunately, I can't force him to open the door and let you go in and get the stuff, okay? That's where my hands are tied.
They'd have to find another time to get her stuff. Hours later, Raven returned for her things. It didn't go well. At 9:37 p.m., Raven and Watkins make simultaneous 911 calls from inside the house. Raven telling the dispatcher she just wants her clothes.
Does he have any weapons at all?
Yeah, I'm sure he has weapons.
Does he have any weapons on him?
Right now, and I'm nervous, and I just want to leave here.
Watkins calls too, yelling.
He just kicked me in my face. He just kicked me in my face.
There would never be any indication that Raven actually assaulted him, court records show. Approximately 5 minutes later,
4-2 on arrive.
MPD pulls up to the house, already warned there's a domestic dispute. Here's the body cam video Raven's mother fought to see. They walk to the house and tap on the screen door. When there's no answer, they don't look in the windows, don't announce themselves, or even knock again.
4-2 on the house, it's all dark and nobody's answering the door. Can you try and call back, please?
Dispatch calls Randall Watkins. No one calls Raven.
Copy, thank you. We'll be cool for.
Code for clearing the scene. Minutes later, Watkins calls again. Still inside the house, police just left.
Yes, I just called 911. I was trying to see how long it takes for the officer to come get my daughter's mom on my house.
We're going to get them back out there. If anything changes, let us know.
Officers are re-dispatched, but records show they first drove several blocks away to use the bathroom and then decided to investigate a stolen car. Then, at 10:08,
And the officer's still not here.
a fifth call from this house. Watkins grows more volatile. The 911 dispatcher pleads with Watkins to calm down.
Like, you need to get out of her face.
You better go to another room.
Little Arjea can be heard crying.
A whole another separate room.
Finally, 6 minutes into that final call, nearly a half hour after officers knocked and left, a gunshot.
How many times can someone shoot people in the back before the law catches up? In 1995, Randall Watkins shot his friend in the back of the leg, then in the head. Murder. He went to prison and somehow walked free. In 2016, he shot Raven's father in the back during a confrontation about abuse. Her father didn't press charges. Randall walked free. On Thanksgiving 2019, he shot Raven in the back while their daughter watched. 3 people. 3 bullets to the back. And the system kept giving him chances while his victims got none. When a terrified woman calls 911 begging for help, why wasn't anyone there to save her? When police have body cameras, dispatch recordings, and a history of violence spelled out in front of them, how does a mother end up dead 30 minutes after officers knock and walk away? This is that story. Before we begin, if stories like this matter to you, if you believe victims deserve to be heard and systems need to be held accountable, hit that subscribe button. Share this video, because Raven's story isn't just about what happened to her. It's a warning we all need to hear. Raven Bianca Gant was born in Minneapolis, Minnesota, in the heart of the Twin Cities. From the very beginning, she brought joy to everyone around her. Her mother, Lakesha, was her world, her anchor, the person she could always count on. Her father adored her, and her brother Ronald, he was more than family. He was her protector, the one who would do anything to keep her safe. Raven worked hard. She wasn't just looking for a job, she wanted a career, something she could build, something she could be proud of. She landed a position as an accounts manager at the Union Depot Hotel, and she was good at it. Her best friend, Jakara, remembers her this way: fun, loving, the life of the room, probably the most fashionable in the room. Raven was a super hard worker. Raven had ambition. She had warmth.
I don't know. The lashes is like, they heavy on your eyes.
You're not. I can open my eyes, but it
Heavy.
looks like...
It's like lifting weights every time you blink your
my
eyes.
I need to slip them down a little bit. You know.
Is your eyebrows just your eyelids, are they strong though?
And my eyebrow points on... I'll put it back in my purse, but... Eyebrows on fleek. Lashes on fleek. This eyeliner about to be on.
She had a natural ability to make people feel safe around her. And then she became a mother. Her daughter, Rajaya, changed everything. Raven poured everything into giving that little girl the best life possible. She was a proud, devoted mother who lit up every time her daughter smiled. On the surface, Raven had everything going for her. A career path, a beautiful daughter, a close family, dreams of hotel management, a future she was actively building. But there was something she kept hidden. Something she didn't want her family to know because she was trying to protect them. She had met someone, and that someone was dangerous. Section 3. The Man with a Pattern. 228 words. Randall Watkins was 14 years older than Raven, 41 years old when they got together, and he came with a past that should have been a massive red flag. Back in 1995, during an argument over a small amount of money, Randall shot his own friend. First in the back of the leg, then in the head. Cold, calculated murder. He was convicted and sent to prison. But somehow, years later, he was walking free. And that's when Raven crossed his path. Maybe she didn't know who he really was. Maybe she thought he had changed. Maybe she believed she could build something with him. A home, a family, a future. She got pregnant, and soon their daughter Rajaya was born. Raven loved that little girl with everything she had. But behind closed doors, the cracks were starting to show. The abuse didn't explode overnight. It crept in slowly. A shove here, a raised voice there. Threats that left bruises, some visible, many hidden. At first, Raven stayed quiet. Maybe she hoped things would get better. Maybe she didn't want to believe that the father of her child was dangerous. But in 2016, the truth could no longer be hidden. One night, Raven showed up to a family dinner with her face bloody and her body bruised. Her brother was horrified. Her father was furious. That night, he confronted Randall directly, and Randall pulled out a gun and shot Raven's father in the back. That should have been the moment the law stepped in, the moment Randall went to prison for attempted murder, the moment Raven's family got the protection they desperately needed. But Raven's father made a choice. He didn't tell police what really happened. He wanted to handle it himself. He wanted to protect his daughter his way. That choice would haunt him forever. The violence didn't stop. Raven's mother walked into her home one day and saw the proof again. Her daughter with a black eye. This time, she called the police. Randall was arrested, but somehow the charges didn't stick. Randall walked free again. Raven finally made a decision. She couldn't take it anymore. The bruises, the fear, the constant hiding. She moved out of the home she shared with Randall and went to live with her father. It was supposed to be a fresh start, a chance to rebuild, a way to protect herself and her daughter. But Randall wasn't ready to let go. He had lost control over her, and that drove him mad. On the morning of November 28, 2019, Thanksgiving Day, Raven was in good spirits. She posted on Facebook about having an extra turkey, looking forward to the holiday. No one watching her social media could have known that within hours, her life would be over. Earlier that day, Raven went to Randall's apartment. She needed her daughter's clothes, diapers, baby items that he had taken when they broke up. He refused to give them back. She tried to handle it peacefully. She even called the police for help. When officers arrived, Raven was sitting calmly in her car. She explained she wasn't trying to start trouble. She just wanted her daughter's belongings. The officer's response was simple. He couldn't force Randall to open the door and let her in to get the stuff. His hands were tied, a civil matter. That's what they called it. The police left, and Raven was on her own. Later that evening, Randall sent Raven a message. "Come back," he said. "Bring the baby. You can get everything." Raven's mother, Lakesha, felt uneasy.
And when she came from the back of my home, I was putting the food on the table, and I was kind of upset because she said, I said, "Where are you going?" She said, "Mom, RJ called and said if I bring Jaya to see him, he'll let me get my things." I looked at Raven, and I didn't want to let her go. I didn't want to let her go. I knew that he was going to do something for my child. I knew this. And I just wanted to say, just wait, just let me put this food out here, and I'm going to go with you. But she's an adult. I can't stop her from doing what she wanted to do. I had to let her go and be the adult that she is. I had to let her go.
Something about it didn't sit right, but Raven told her mother she'd be right back. Just a quick trip, in and out. She would never make it home. Raven arrived at Randall's apartment around 9:30 that night with Rajaya. Randall let them in. The door closed behind them. At 9:37, just 7 minutes later, Raven made the 911 call you heard at the beginning of this video. She told the dispatcher she was scared. Randall wouldn't let her leave. She mentioned he usually carried a knife, but hadn't seen it that day. The fear in her voice was real. At the same time, Randall also called 911. He claimed Raven had kicked him in the face. He was trying to flip the narrative, trying to make himself the victim. Officers were dispatched. Body camera footage shows them walking up to the door. They knocked once. They didn't call out, didn't announce themselves, didn't look through windows, didn't check the back. The house was dark, they said. Nobody answered. So, after just 2 minutes at the scene, they told dispatch nobody was home, and they left. But inside that apartment, Raven was trapped. Time was running out. Randall called 911 again, still playing the victim. He asked how long it would take for officers to come back and remove Raven from his home. As if she was the problem. The dispatcher assured him they'd send someone, but instead of heading straight back to the scene, those officers made a detour, several blocks away, to use the bathroom to check on a stolen vehicle. Meanwhile, inside Randall's apartment, the situation was falling apart. At 10:08, Raven made a final call, this time to her father. Her voice trembled with fear. She told him Randall wouldn't let her leave. Rajaya was still there, witnessing everything, trapped in the middle of her parents' nightmare. The tension in that room was unbearable. Then, without warning, Randall pulled out a gun and shot Raven in the back. One bullet. Fatal. Delivered in front of their little girl. Seconds later, Randall called 911 one more time. He could be heard yelling in the background, shouting that nobody should put their hands on him while little Rajaya cried nearby. The dispatcher urged him to step away, to go to another room, but by then the damage was done. Raven had been shot. When officers finally arrived again, Randall walked out of the house with his hands up. Inside, police found Rajaya standing in the dining room. They asked her where her mommy was. She pointed to the floor. Police walked further into the apartment. What they found would stay with them forever. Raven was lying on her back in the doorway between the kitchen and dining room. She wasn't moving. Raven was rushed to North Memorial Medical Center, but there was nothing they could do. She was pronounced dead shortly before 11 p.m. One bullet. That's all it took. Raven's father showed up at the house while police were still processing the scene. He told them about the call his daughter had made just minutes earlier. He told them Raven had been trying to get away from Randall for a long time. That she had told him about the abuse. That Randall had beaten her before. That he himself had been shot in the back by Randall years ago. But somehow, Randall had remained free. And that freedom cost Raven her life. No one knows exactly what was said in those final moments. What her daughter saw. What went through Raven's mind as she realized she wasn't getting out. But one thing is clear, she didn't deserve this. She was a mother who just wanted her child's clothes. Nearly a year later, on October 23, 2020, justice finally came. Randall Watkins was found guilty of all 3 charges: intentional second-degree murder, unintentional second-degree murder, and being a felon in possession of a gun.
Man is going to prison for his ex-girlfriend in front of their toddler on Thanksgiving Day.
I'm devastated, Brian, and not because I'm convicted, but because I truly love Raven.
Throughout the course of their relationship, he became very abusive.
The judge handed down the maximum sentence allowed by law, 40 years in prison. She made it clear this case wasn't just about a woman being killed. It was about a little girl who lost everything in one night. The judge stated that Rajaya had lost both her parents, witnessing her father take her mother's life, and would carry that trauma for the rest of her life. Even then, Randall tried to portray himself as the one suffering. He told the court he had loved Raven, that he still loved their daughter, that he never meant to take Raven's life, that he had been attacked. But the judge didn't believe him. Outside the courthouse, Raven's mother, Lakesha, quietly expressed her pain. But from that pain came a promise. On the evening of December 6, 2019, candles lit up the corner of West Broadway and Lyndale Avenue in Minneapolis. Family, friends, and neighbors huddled together in the cold, sharing memories, tears, and embraces at a vigil for Raven Gant. For 3 long hours that Thanksgiving night, Lakesha couldn't rest, not only because her daughter was gone, but because of how she died. The fear in Raven's voice during those 911 calls, the unanswered cries for help. Lakesha told her husband something wasn't right, and she was right. But getting answers became a battle of its own. Lakesha had to fight just to obtain the police body camera footage. It cost her thousands of dollars, but the truth was worth more than money. When she finally received it in 2023 and watched it, her heart shattered all over again. The footage showed officers knocking at Randall Watkins' door. They never announced themselves, never called out, never looked inside. Then they left. After just 2 minutes, they never even spoke to Raven. By the time other officers returned, she had already been shot. Now Lakeshia is fighting again, this time with a lawsuit. She believes the Minneapolis police failed her daughter, and she's not alone. Her attorney argues that because of the 911 calls for help and the indication of physical violence or a weapon present, the officers were duty-bound to try harder to make contact with Raven. Now, public records show the officers involved were not disciplined. Raven didn't just die at the hands of Randall Watkins. She died because help never truly came. Lakeshia announced the launch of a foundation called Be Their Voice, dedicated to helping women escape situations like Raven's before it's too late. The foundation would be a safe space for those in danger, a place to find support, protection, a lifeline. Lakeshia urged everyone listening to take the first signs of violence seriously. Once the abuse begins, she warned, it doesn't stop. It only gets worse. That message wasn't just for victims, it was for all of us. But even as she worked to turn tragedy into purpose, Lakeshia carried another mission, giving Rajaya a stable, loving life, a life far from the violence she had already witnessed. Rajaya is now a kindergartner. Her grandmother calls her Raven's mini-me, but the trauma remains. She can't stand to see a police car. She can't stand to see an ambulance. When she sees one, she panics. Grandma, we have to drive faster. We have to get closer. My mom's back there, we gotta get her out of there. It's a tragedy for a child to go through what she's going through. And it's a tragedy that could have been prevented, because the system failed Raven at every step. Her name now stands as a heartbreaking reminder of what happens when red flags are ignored. When convicted felons are given more chances than their victims, and when women are left to fend for themselves in their most desperate moments. Raven Gant loved her daughter. She loved her family. She worked hard, dreamed big, and tried her best to protect everyone around her. But in the end, nobody could protect her. Not the father who chose street justice over pressing charges. Not the police who knocked twice and walked away. Not the legal system that let a convicted murderer walk free time and time again. Raven's story is a tragedy, but it's also a warning. To every woman in a relationship where the first slap has already happened, leave. Your life is worth more than clothes, more than belongings, more than keeping the peace. The abuse won't stop, it will only escalate. To every family watching a loved one suffer, call the police, press charges. Don't let misplaced loyalty cost you everything. Don't wait until it's too late to act. And to every system designed to protect us, do better. When a woman calls 911 3 times in one night, terrified and trapped, 2 minutes at a dark door isn't enough. Body cameras mean nothing if no one is held accountable for what they record. Because Raven Gant deserved better. Her daughter deserved better. And so does every woman still trapped in the nightmare Raven tried so hard to escape. Rest in peace, Raven Bianca Gant. Your name, your story, your daughter, they will not be forgotten. If this story moved you, share it. Someone watching might need to hear this. Someone might recognize the warning signs in their own life or in the life of someone they love. If you or someone you know is experiencing domestic violence, help is available. The National Domestic Violence Hotline is 1-800-799-7233. You don't have to face this alone. Subscribe to this channel to honor victims like Raven by spreading awareness. Comment below and tell me, what needs to change to prevent tragedies like this? How do we hold systems accountable when they fail the people they're supposed to protect? Raven's mother is still fighting. Still raising her granddaughter, still pushing for answers and change through Be Their Voice Foundation. The fight isn't over, and as long as stories like Raven's exist, we can't afford to look away. Thank you for watching. And remember, silence protects abusers. Speaking up saves lives.
A Lowell man is now being held without bail, accused of murdering a young mother in her home. As WBZ's Nick Giovanni tells us, the suspect's social media posts may reveal a motive.
22-year-old Leonard Robinson stood before a judge inside Lowell District Court Tuesday morning to face the charge of murder for the death of 22-year-old Deja Jenkins Minus.
What we have in this situation, Your Honor, is that Deja is found in the house that he was living in alone, in his bedroom, which was locked when any witness or the police came to that location.
Prosecutors say the body of Jenkins Minus, the mother of a 2-month-old baby girl from Boston, was found Friday morning in this Lowell home off Llewellyn Street. Her death ruled a homicide by multiple sharp force injuries. Investigators believe she was killed by Robinson the day before on Thanksgiving.
What the medical examiner's office noted was that Deja's neck was fractured, that she had over 58 stab wounds to her body by a sharp object.
Robinson was described by prosecutors as an on-again, off-again boyfriend of Jenkins Minus. He was arrested in Boston.
Further investigation revealed that there had been social media posts by the defendant questioning whether he was the father of the child, questioning whether he should have a DNA test, and also stating that he was mad at Deja, and I would suggest providing motive.
Deja's mother, LaToya Minus, was in court Tuesday. It was her request for a well-being check that led to police confirming her worst fear.
Her mother then and other family members then stayed up all night on Thanksgiving, looking to see if they could monitor the phone, Deja's phone, as to where it might possibly be located.
Her name was Deja Jenkins Minus, 22 years old, a new mother who posted those words, full of hope, full of promise, just hours before she would drive 30 miles into the darkness with her 2-month-old baby in the back seat. She was going to see her boyfriend, the father of her child. She thought she'd be home for Thanksgiving dinner. She never came home. The next morning, as families across Boston carved turkey and gave thanks, Deja's mother was using Find My iPhone to track her daughter's location. What she found would shatter her world forever. Deja was dead, stabbed, left in a locked bedroom while her baby cried in the next room. Her killer? 22-year-old Leonard Robinson, aspiring Boston rapper, father of her child, and the last person to see her alive. He drove away in her car, cut off his court-ordered ankle monitor, and ran. But the GPS tracker he tried to escape, it had already recorded everything, every movement, every location, every damning second that would seal his fate. This is the story of a Thanksgiving that became a murder scene, of a young mother's final hours, of a man whose jealousy turned deadly, and of a 2-month-old baby girl who survived the night her mother didn't. Before we begin, if stories like this matter to you, if you believe victims deserve to have their names remembered and their stories told with respect, please subscribe to this channel. Hit that like button, because Deja's story needs to be heard. But to understand how a holiday celebration became a crime scene, we need to go back to where this tragedy began, the streets of Boston, where 2 young people crossed paths, fell in love, and where that love would turn fatal. Boston, Massachusetts, November 2021. Mattapan and Dorchester, neighborhoods where families have lived for generations. Places where everyone knows everyone, where block parties spill into the streets on summer nights and neighbors become family. The Morton Street housing development, where Deja grew up, was the kind of place where doors stayed open and aunties kept watch over kids who weren't even theirs. These are tight-knit communities built on resilience and love. Communities that gather for every holiday, every celebration, every milestone. And in November 2021, as America emerged from the isolation of COVID lockdowns, Thanksgiving was taking on a renewed meaning, Families were eager to come together again, to gather around tables, to give thanks for simply being alive. 30 miles north of Boston sits Lowell, a smaller city with a different energy, more industrial, more isolated, the kind of place where you could disappear if you wanted to, where what happened behind closed doors stayed behind closed doors. Deja's boyfriend, Leonard Robinson, lived on Llewellyn Street in Lowell, away from her family, away from the neighborhood networks that had always kept her safe, away from anyone who could hear her scream. Thanksgiving 2021 should have been a time of celebration. Deja had every reason to be grateful. A healthy baby girl, family who loved her, dreams of furthering her education. But there was tension beneath the surface, cracks in a relationship that looked perfect on social media, but was fracturing in private. The contrast is what makes this case so haunting. While Boston families prepared feasts and decorated tables, something dark was brewing in that Lowell apartment. While people across America counted their blessings, a young mother was driving toward her death, thinking she was going to fix things, thinking love could overcome doubt, thinking she'd be home in time for dinner. She had no idea that the 30-mile journey from Boston to Lowell would be the last trip she'd ever make. In those Boston neighborhoods, Deja Jenkins Minus was known by everyone. The girl with the infectious smile, the new mother who couldn't stop posting about her baby, the young woman who had her whole life ahead of her. But who was Deja before she became a headline, before she became a tragedy, when she was simply a 22-year-old woman in love? Deja Jenkins Minus was 22 years old when she died. But before she became a statistic, before her name appeared in news headlines, she was simply Deja, a daughter, a friend, a young woman finding her way in the world. She grew up in Dorchester and Mattapan, graduated from Jeremiah Burke High School, and had dreams of continuing her education. Friends described her as goal-driven and hard-working. Her mother, LaToya Minus, called her a very uplifting young lady, someone whose energy could change the mood of any room she entered. Deja loved cheerleading, loved her family, and had that rare quality of making everyone around her feel seen and valued. Her social media told the story of a young woman embracing life, encouraging posts to friends, photos with family, celebrations of small victories and big dreams. She was the kind of person who believed in possibilities, who saw setbacks as temporary and success as inevitable if you worked hard enough. Then she met Leonard Robinson. He went by Po' Boy D. Rose in Boston's underground rap scene, a 22-year-old with musical ambitions and street credibility. Their relationship was complicated from the start. On again, off again. Passionate when it was good, volatile when it wasn't. Friends who knew them said they seemed in love during the good times, posting photos together, attending parties, looking like any young couple figuring out life together. When Deja got pregnant, everything seemed to shift into place. She was excited, glowing with anticipation. Leonard appeared supportive. There was a baby shower, decorations, gifts, laughter. The photos from that day show a couple seemingly ready for parenthood. Deja looked radiant. Leonard looked proud. In September 2021, Deja gave birth to a baby girl. She named her Delaney. From that moment forward, everything Deja posted was about her daughter. Every milestone, every smile, every tiny moment of motherhood documented with fierce love and endless devotion. "My daughter will never need for anything," she wrote. It wasn't just a promise to her child. It was a declaration of the mother she intended to be, hardworking, dedicated, someone who would sacrifice anything to give her baby the best life possible. But beneath the happy posts, tension was growing. In early November, Leonard started posting cryptic messages on social media, questions about paternity, doubts about whether he was really Delaney's father. public expressions of anger and suspicion directed at Deja. He wrote that he was mad at Deja, that he was considering getting a DNA test. Deja's friends watched these posts with growing concern. Why was he airing private doubts publicly? Why humiliate her online instead of just requesting a test? The relationship that had looked so solid during the pregnancy was clearly fracturing under the pressure of new parenthood. Yet Deja stayed in contact with him, whether out of love, hope, or a desire to keep her daughter's father in their lives. She didn't walk away. She wanted to make it work. She believed they could fix what was broken. On Wednesday, November 24th, the night before Thanksgiving, Leonard reached out to her. They exchanged text messages. The content of those texts remains private, but the outcome is clear. Deja decided to drive to Lowell to see him, to talk things through, to try one more time to salvage something for their daughter's sake. That evening, she posted her final message to the world. My daughter will never need for anything. Can't wait to celebrate her first Thanksgiving tomorrow. She packed up 2-month-old Delaney, loaded the baby carrier and diaper bag into her car, told her family she'd be back in time for Thanksgiving dinner. She was just going to see Leonard briefly. She'd be home soon. It was the last time her family would see her alive. But what happened after Deja's car pulled out of her family's driveway that Wednesday night? What took place during that 30-mile drive into darkness and in those early morning hours when she arrived at Leonard's door? Wednesday, November 24th, 2021, the night before Thanksgiving. Around 1 o'clock in the morning, Deja made the 30-mile drive from Boston to Lowell. Her baby daughter Delaney slept in the back seat. The roads were quiet, most of America already asleep, dreaming of turkey and family gatherings just hours away. At 3 in the morning, neighbor Roger Rondeau looked out his window on Llewellyn Street and saw Deja's car pull up to Leonard's apartment. He watched her get out, carefully lift the baby carrier, grab the diaper bag, and walk to the door. Leonard let her in. The door closed behind them. Rondeau thought nothing of it. Just a young couple with their baby. Maybe they'd had an argument and were making up. Maybe she was dropping the baby off so Leonard could spend Thanksgiving with his daughter. Normal stuff. He went back to bed. Inside that apartment, Deja and Leonard were alone with their 2-month-old. Whatever conversation they had, whatever words were exchanged in those dark early morning hours, only 2 people knew, and one of them would never speak again. The GPS ankle monitor that Leonard was required to wear as part of his bail conditions for pending gun charges tracked his movements. The data would later show he remained at the apartment through those early hours. Deja's phone location confirmed she was there too. 2 young parents under the same roof while their baby slept. From the outside, nothing seemed wrong. But something had shifted. Some line had been crossed. Whether it was an argument about paternity, about their relationship, about the future, or whether Leonard had already made his decision before she even arrived, we may never fully know. What we do know is that at some point in those hours, violence erupted. Not the kind of violence that happens in a moment of rage and then stops. Not a single blow or a push that goes too far. This was sustained, methodical, the kind of violence that takes time. Deja fought. The evidence would later prove that. She fought to survive. She fought to get back to her family. She fought for her baby sleeping in the next room. But she was overpowered. And as dawn broke on Thanksgiving morning, as the sun rose over a nation preparing to give thanks, Deja Jenkins Minus took her last breath on the floor of Leonard Robinson's locked bedroom. At approximately 2 o'clock on Thanksgiving afternoon, Roger Rondeau sat down with his family for dinner. He looked out his window and saw Leonard Robinson sitting in Deja's car. Just sitting there for 15, maybe 20 minutes. Then he drove away. Rondeau would later tell police, Leonard drove Deja's car through Boston, making stops at multiple locations throughout Thanksgiving Day. At 4:56 in the afternoon, he cut off his court-ordered GPS ankle monitor. His location went dark. Back in Boston, Deja's family was setting the table, checking their phones, wondering where she was. She'd said she'd be home for dinner. She'd promised. It wasn't like her not to call, not to text, not to show up. Her mother, LaToya, felt it first. That sick, knowing feeling that something was terribly wrong. She tried calling. No answer. She tried texting. Nothing. She tracked Deja's phone location and saw it at Leonard's Lowell address. LaToya got in her car and drove those same 30 miles her daughter had driven hours earlier. When she arrived at the Llewellyn Street apartment, it was locked and dark. No cars, no lights, no sign of life. She knocked. No answer. She called out for Deja. Silence. LaToya spent Thanksgiving night sitting outside that apartment in the cold November darkness, staring at those locked doors, praying her daughter was somehow okay inside, praying this was all a misunderstanding, praying she was wrong about the dread consuming her heart. But a mother knows. Deep down, she already knew. As the sun rose on Friday morning, as Thanksgiving leftovers sat untouched in refrigerators across Boston, police arrived at that Lowell apartment for a wellness check. What they found inside would confirm LaToya's worst nightmare and expose a crime scene so brutal it would shock even veteran investigators. As officers approached, one of Leonard's family members showed up and climbed through a window to get inside. He found Leonard's bedroom door locked. He kicked it open. On the floor next to an air mattress lay the body of Deja Jenkins Minus. What the medical examiner would later document defies comprehension. Deja had been stabbed 58 times. 58. Her neck was fractured, broken. She had defensive wounds covering her hands and arms, evidence of a desperate fight for survival. The stab wounds covered her upper torso, the front and back of her neck, her face, the back of her head. Blood splattered the kitchen, blood on the walls, blood on the floors. The apartment told the story of prolonged, frenzied violence, of a woman fighting to live and a man determined she wouldn't. A knife was recovered from the scene, appearing to be the murder weapon. In another room, 2-month-old Delaney was found alive, unharmed physically, but with dried blood on her diaper bag. She had been alone in that apartment with her mother's body for more than 24 hours. Officers immediately secured the scene. Massachusetts State Police were called in. The Middlesex District Attorney's Office took jurisdiction. This wasn't just a homicide. This was something more brutal, more personal, more deliberate. Outside, LaToya Minus, who had spent the night watching that apartment, finally got the news she'd been dreading. They told her that Deja had been stabbed. They didn't tell her how many times. Not yet. That detail would come later, in a courtroom, and it would break her all over again. The investigation moved quickly. Surveillance footage showed Leonard Robinson driving Deja's car away from Llewellyn Street around 2 p.m. on Thanksgiving Day, hours after she was already dead. A neighbor positively identified him in the driver's seat. His GPS ankle monitor told an even more damning story. The device tracked him at the apartment during the critical hours of the murder. Then it showed him driving to multiple locations throughout Boston on Thanksgiving Day. At 4:56 p.m., the signal went dead. He'd cut it off. Consciousness of guilt captured in digital data. Leonard Robinson had a 36-hour head start. He'd taken her car, disabled his tracker, disappeared into Boston's streets. A massive manhunt began. As Deja's family tried to process the unthinkable, investigators were piecing together a case built on digital breadcrumbs, witness testimony, and Leonard's own social media posts. Posts that would reveal a motive as old as time itself. Jealousy, suspicion, and male rage. 4 days. That's how long Leonard Robinson thought he could run. The moment police kicked down that bedroom door Friday morning and found Deja's body, every law enforcement agency in Massachusetts went on high alert. Massachusetts State Police, Lowell PD, Boston PD, the Middlesex District Attorney's Office. They all had one target, a 22-year-old aspiring rapper who just committed one of the most brutal murders the state had seen that year. But Leonard had made a critical mistake. The same ankle monitor he'd cut off at 4:56 p.m. on Thanksgiving Day had already told investigators everything they needed to know. The GPS data painted a damning picture. Leonard had been at the Llewellyn Street apartment during the exact window when Deja was murdered. Then at 2 p.m. on Thanksgiving afternoon, while Deja's family sat around a dinner table wondering where she was, surveillance cameras captured him sitting in her car for nearly 20 minutes before driving away. Neighbor Roger Rondeau had watched it happen in real time. He'd seen Leonard just sitting there in the driver's seat, staring straight ahead, thinking, planning. Then the car rolled away from the curb and disappeared down the street. Leonard made stops throughout Boston that afternoon, multiple locations. The GPS tracked every single one until the moment he severed the connection. But by then, it was too late. He'd left a digital breadcrumb trail that led straight back to that locked bedroom. Detectives pulled his social media posts, the ones where he questioned whether Delaney was his daughter, the ones where he said he was mad at Deja, the ones that showed a man consumed by jealousy and suspicion. Motive established. They interviewed witnesses. Rondeau identified Leonard in Deja's car. Text message records showed Leonard had initiated contact with Deja at 1 a.m., leading her to make that fatal drive from Boston to Lowell. Timeline established. They processed the crime scene. Blood spatter throughout the apartment. The murder weapon recovered. Forensic analysis matching the blade to Deja's wounds. Physical evidence established. But the most shocking detail? Leonard had been free in the first place. He was out on bail for gun charges in Suffolk Superior Court, the same guns that had been found in Deja's car months earlier. He was considered dangerous enough to require GPS monitoring and a 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. curfew. Yet the system let him walk free, and now, Deja was dead. On Monday, November 29th, investigators tracked Leonard to a location in Boston. When officers moved in, he surrendered without a fight. The man who'd stabbed his girlfriend 58 times went quietly into custody. No resistance, no drama. Just handcuffs and a ride to the Middlesex House of Correction. The next morning, he'd stand before a judge and face the music. Tuesday morning, Lowell District Court. The courtroom filled with people who loved Deja, family members gripping each other's hands, friends wiping away tears, community members who'd come to witness justice begin its slow march forward. Leonard Robinson shuffled in wearing jail attire. His head stayed down. He wouldn't look at them. Couldn't look at them. Assistant District Attorney Thomas Brandt didn't waste time. He laid out the horror in clinical detail. How Deja drove from Boston at 1 a.m. after Leonard's text messages. How she arrived with baby Delaney at 3 a.m. How neighbor Roger Rondeau watched her carry the infant inside, never imagining he'd just witnessed the last hours of her life. Then came the medical examiner's findings. Deja's neck had been fractured. She'd been stabbed 58 times with a sharp object, her upper torso, the front and back of her neck, her face, the back of her head. Defensive wounds covered her hands and arms where she'd tried to fight him off. Deja was found in the house that he was living in alone, Brandt told the court, in his bedroom, which was locked when any witness or the police came to that location. Leonard had sealed her in there like a tomb. But here's where it gets even more disturbing. When police first questioned Leonard after his arrest, he lied, told them he hadn't seen Deja in 2 weeks. Then, when that story fell apart under the weight of evidence, he changed it. Said she'd come to his home Thursday, but he didn't let her in, and she left. Lies stacked on lies. But the GPS data, the surveillance footage, the neighbor's testimony, the blood evidence, everything contradicted him. The motive was laid bare for the court. Social media posts showing Robinson questioning whether baby Delaney was his. Posts showing his anger toward Deja. Jealousy wrapped in doubt, rage disguised as suspicion. Leonard Robinson pleaded not guilty. His attorney declined to comment. The judge's decision came swiftly, held without bail. A probable cause hearing was scheduled for late December. Outside the courthouse, LaToya Minus, the mother who'd spent Thanksgiving night in the cold, watching that dark apartment, who'd tracked her daughter's phone knowing something was terribly wrong, who'd identified her child's body, posted on Facebook with a mother's raw fury. They got this bastard. Justice is on the way. But would it come? As of 2023, Leonard Robinson still awaits trial. Years have passed. Baby Delaney is no longer an infant. She's growing up without the mother, who promised she'd never need for anything. LaToya is raising her granddaughter alone, carrying the impossible weight of being both grieving mother and guardian to a child who'll never remember the woman who gave her life. The wheels of justice turn slowly, too slowly for families like theirs. Life for me will never be the same, and I need time to adjust. Until then, keep the love pouring and keep her memory alive. LaToya Minus wrote those words after burying her 22-year-old daughter. Outside Deja's Boston home, a makeshift memorial grew. Candles flickered. Flowers wilted and were replaced. Photos of Deja smiling, holding baby Delaney, living the life stolen from her. Davon Holiday, who grew up with Deja, spoke through tears. She just graduated high school. She just had her daughter. It was just Thanksgiving, too. The world just lost an amazing person. Behind every domestic violence statistic is a daughter, a mother, a friend, someone who loved cheerleading and posted uplifting messages, someone excited about her baby's first holiday. Deja's last post haunts everyone. My daughter will never need for anything. Can't wait to celebrate her first Thanksgiving tomorrow. She was right about one thing. Delaney would never need for anything material. But she'd forever need the one thing no one could give her, her mother. LaToya described Deja as a very uplifting young lady, adding, "I'm lost, I'm hurt, I'm numb, I'm angry, and I want justice for my baby and my grandbaby." 58 stab wounds. That's not losing control. That's sustained, deliberate violence. That's choosing to keep stabbing long after someone stops fighting back. The warning signs were everywhere. Public drama, social media posts questioning paternity, posts saying he was mad at her, gun charges serious enough for GPS monitoring. These weren't subtle hints. These were alarm bells at full volume. But Deja was hopeful. She believed in second chances. She wanted her daughter's father present. That optimism killed her. The system failed, too. Leonard was monitored constantly, yet still free to kill. What's the point of GPS tracking if it only tells us where someone was when they murdered? Baby Delaney will grow up without her mother. She'll see photos and hear stories. But she'll never feel her mother's arms, never hear her voice, never have her there for graduation, her wedding day. That's the real cost. Not just the life lost, but all the future moments stolen. If you're in a relationship where someone humiliates you publicly, has a history of violence, makes you afraid, or shows extreme jealousy, please reach out. Call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-72233. Because leaving is dangerous, but staying can be fatal. Deja never got that Thanksgiving dinner. She never got to see Delaney grow up. But we can honor her memory. We can say her name. We can share her story. And maybe we can prevent the next young mother from becoming a headline. If this case moved you, subscribe to this channel. Hit that like button. Share this video. Leave a comment about what stood out to you. Rest in peace, Deja Jenkins Minus. You were a beautiful, uplifting young woman, a devoted mother, a beloved daughter. Your family will never forget you. To baby Delani, your mother loved you more than anything. You are her legacy. You are proof that even in darkness, love survives. We will not forget.
They behind me. They gonna kill me, y'all. I'm gonna make them kill me, y'all. Today is the day I die. Today is the day I die, y'all. They gonna kill me today, y'all. I'm finna make them kill me. I'm sorry, y'all.
They behind me. They going to kill me, y'all. I'm going to make them kill me. Today is the day I die. These words echoed through a Facebook live stream on December 28th, 2024. Thousands of people watched, commenting, sharing, witnessing a man's final moments in real time. But what they didn't see, what he didn't show them, was what happened just 2 hours earlier. He shot his ex-girlfriend in front of her children, inside her own apartment, and in his final moments, speeding through Columbia, South Carolina, broadcasting his death to the world. He would take one more life. A 52-year-old man, making a left turn, wrong intersection, wrong time. He never saw it coming. 3 crime scenes, 3 victims. One started with a domestic dispute. One ended at a hospital. The last, a stranger who was just driving. This is the story of Antavius Brown, rapper, entrepreneur, father, the man who live-streamed his death. But more importantly, this is the story of the people he destroyed on his way out. Before we begin, I need you to do something. Hit that subscribe button right now, because this case has warning signs that could save your life, or someone you love. The red flags were everywhere. Hundreds of people saw them, and no one did anything. So here's the question we need to answer. What drives someone to broadcast their death to thousands? Why do children have to become heroes in their own home? And why does an innocent bystander always pay the price? This story doesn't start with a police chase. It doesn't start with a live stream. It starts 4 days earlier, Christmas Eve, with a Facebook post that hundreds of people saw and ignored. A public threat that should have triggered 911 calls. Instead, it just got likes. To understand how everything exploded on that Saturday morning, you need to understand the world where it happened. A place where Facebook beefs become court evidence, where threats are entertainment, and where everyone knows everyone's business, especially online. Welcome to Columbia, South Carolina. Columbia, South Carolina, state capital, college town, home to a tight-knit hip-hop community where everybody knows everybody's business, especially on social media. This is where Facebook Live isn't just entertainment, it's evidence, where Instagram beefs become criminal cases, where relationship drama plays out for audiences of thousands, where someone can post, "I'm going to war," and people hit like instead of calling 911. December 2024, holiday season. Families decorating trees, children counting down to Christmas morning, and 2 entrepreneurs about to destroy each other in the most public way possible. Cross Hill Apartments, Blossom Street, working-class complex where dreams get built and sometimes shattered, where neighbors hear everything through thin walls but mind their business until they can't anymore. In this community, breakups aren't private. their content, their views, their comment sections filled with theories and gossip. But what happens when the drama becomes a death threat? When the comments turn to warnings? When a mother publicly begs for help? Outside these apartments, Christmas lights twinkling, holiday wreaths on doors, the smell of dinner cooking. Inside one unit, a relationship ending, and a man who can't accept it. This is where a podcaster built her media empire, where a rapper sold tequila and dropped tracks, where two people with massive dreams lived together for 2 years, until one of them decided he'd rather die than let go. To understand how it all exploded, you need to meet the two people at the center of this tragedy. One would fight for her life, the other would broadcast his death. And an innocent stranger? He's coming. But first, meet the survivor. Her name is Nudura Tapia, and by December 2024, she had built something most people only dream about. Nudura Tapia, born July 28, 1986, single mother of 2, media entrepreneur, most popular podcast. That wasn't just a name, it was a brand. Since 2022, she'd been grinding, traveling state to state, interviewing guests, building her voice. In Colombia, people knew her name, knew her hustle, knew her work. She started with music in 2021, pivoted to podcasting. Every episode, every interview, every subscriber, she earned it herself. And when people questioned her success, she made it crystal clear. Nobody made me. Nobody put me where I'm at. 2 children from a previous relationship, not Brown's kids, but they lived with him for 2 years in her apartment on Blossom Street. Her sanctuary, her studio, her home. She was balancing motherhood with building an empire, and she was winning. But 2 weeks before Christmas 2024, she made a decision. After 2 years together, the relationship was over. She asked Antavius Brown to leave. He promised he'd be gone by year's end. Just a few more days. What could go wrong? December 24th. Someone asked on her Facebook if she was okay. Her response, "No, my life is and others are in danger. Others, plural." She knew what was coming. Now meet the man who couldn't let go. Antavius Jerome Brown, 36 years old. Everyone called him Get It Brown. Born in Anniston, Alabama, raised in Columbia, Lower Richland High School graduate. Started rapping at 16. Music was his escape from everything. Get It Brown, rapper, entrepreneur, dreamer. He founded GB Tequila, named after his rap persona. $25 bottles. He was hustling, grinding, trying to make it.
It's your boy Get It Brown. What's up? Y'all already know what time it is, you feel me? We vibing out, you know what I'm saying? I'm on this tequila reposado. Hey, I got these $25 bottles. Y'all tap in, you feel me? And y'all ask, do I drink it, huh?
Local clubs knew his sound. He had real talent. The hip-hop community respected his work. He wasn't just talk. He produced tracks, performed, built a following, but there was a past. Incarcerated 2013 to 2020. 7 years inside. When he got out, music became his redemption story, his second chance. He poured everything into his comeback. He had a son from a previous relationship. Friends would say he adored that boy the most. His eyes lit up when he talked about his child. Everything he built, he said it was for his son. His philosophy was simple. He posted it publicly. When I know I'm righteous, I'll go to war with whoever and die about it. That wasn't a metaphor. That was a promise. 2 versions of Antavius Brown existed. The devoted father who posted about his son constantly, and the man who would soon point a gun at his girlfriend's head. Which one was real? Maybe both. And then there's Ryan. We'll meet him properly later. But right now, you need to know this. On December 28th, 2024, Ryan Blaine Heyman was 52 years old, living in Colombia, breeding bulldogs, planning his weekend. He had no connection to Antavius Brown. Never met Nudera Tapia. Didn't know about their relationship drama. Wasn't following the Facebook lives. He was just living. At 12:30 p.m. on December 28th, Ryan would make a left turn. That's it. Just a left turn, and it would cost him everything. But before Ryan's final turn, before the chase, before the live stream, everything started on Christmas Eve, with a social media post that should have triggered 911 calls. Instead, it just got likes and comments, and a mother's desperate public warning that everyone ignored. December 24th, 2024, Christmas Eve. While families gathered for dinner, Antavius Brown grabbed his phone. I just want to say I appreciate all the love and support. Life has been a real journey. Sounds innocent enough. Keep reading. When I know I'm righteous, I'll go to war with whoever and die about it. Don't play in my face or whip my name. Win. Lose or draw, I'll throw it all on the line. That's not holiday cheer. That's a warning. Tapia's mother saw the post, and she decided to speak up, publicly. Hello, everyone. For those who don't know me, I am Most Popular's mother. I don't understand how a person can be so bad. You are a treacherous man. If anything happens to my daughter, they already know who was a violent and bad man. A mother. On Christmas Eve, publicly warning the community, this man is dangerous. Did anyone call the police? Screenshot it and send to authorities. Report the threat. No. They commented. They speculated. They watched. The comment section exploded. So all that because of you being on the DL? That's his boyfriend in the car. Rumors started flying. Was Brown hiding his sexuality? Did Tapia discover something? The community started theorizing about his secrets instead of calling for help. Brown couldn't let it go. He went live on Facebook. 20-plus minutes of rambling about betrayal, snakes, fake love. People don't want to see you be better than they can even imagine their damn self. Don't allow fake love and obligations and expectations. Nobody, you feel me, is going to play with my feelings, my heart, my emotions. He's wounded, rambling, but not threatening, yet. He talks about being blessed, about standing on principles, about genuine love. Hundreds of people watched. Some commented support. Nobody intervened. Tapia went live, too. She had to defend herself. I started Most Popular Podcast. I've been podcasting since the beginning of 2022. Nobody made me. Nobody put me where I'm at. She's professional, controlled. But then, I'm not going to get into details, but some crazy things are happening. A friend asks, "Are you okay, Boo?" Her answer, "No, my life is, and others are in danger." Others. She said, others. Christmas Day passes, then the 26th, then the 27th. Brown's son was visiting for the holidays. A relative later reveals, I talked to him the day he caught his girl cheating. He told me his son is visiting, so he didn't want bad vibes around his son for the holidays. The cheating accusation, was it real, or was it the excuse he needed? His son leaves. The holidays are ending, and Antavius Brown's last thread of control is about to snap. The community watches. Everyone's on edge. The posts are still up. The threats are visible. People are sharing screenshots, gossiping, speculating, but nobody calls the police. Because this is just social media drama, right? Just another breakup playing out online. Except it's not. Saturday morning, December 28th, 11 a.m., inside the Cross Hill apartment. An argument starts, and two children are about to become the heroes nobody should ever have to be. Most people are sleeping in, making breakfast, enjoying their weekend. Inside Tapia's apartment, Antavius Brown is accusing her of cheating. His voice gets louder. The argument escalates. Tapia's two children, remember, not Brown's kids, hear everything. Brown pulls out a gun. He puts it to Tapia's head. She freezes. She knows. This is it. This is how she dies. He tucks the gun into his waistband. Then the hitting starts. In another room, two children hear their mother screaming, "What do you do? You're a kid." There's a grown man hurting your mom. You could hide. You could run. You could freeze. These children chose to fight. One of the children breaks down the bedroom door. Think about that. A child breaking down a door. They see their mother being beaten. They see the gun in Brown's waistband, and they jump on him. Both children are fighting a 36-year-old man. They're punching, pulling, doing anything to get him off their mother. These aren't his kids, but they're fighting like their lives depend on it, because their mother's does. Tapia sees her chance. While her children distract Brown, she runs. The kids follow her. They're going to make it. The door is right there. Freedom is steps away. They almost made it. But Brown is faster. He reaches the doorway. He pulls the gun from his waistband. The shot rings out. Tapia feels it tear into her leg. She falls. Blood everywhere. Her children are screaming. She thinks, "I just knew I was about to die." That's what she later tells police. "I just knew I was about to die." But Brown doesn't finish it. Instead, he forces the bleeding Tapia into a car. The children watch their mother, shot, being driven away. They're left alone in the apartment. Blood on the floor, blood on the door frame. Traumatized, terrified, not knowing if their mother is about to be killed. Neighbors heard the shot. One 911 call comes in, then another, then another. Shots fired at Cross Hill Apartments. I heard a woman screaming. I think I saw someone put a woman in a car. Help is coming, but will it be fast enough? As Brown drove his bleeding victim toward the hospital, he had no idea what Tapia was about to do. No idea that she was about to whisper the words that would seal his fate. Musk Hospital, Forest Drive. Emergency room doors slide open. Nurses see a woman limping badly, blood soaking through her clothes. A man is gripping her arm, tight. They've seen this before, too many times. As medical staff rush to help, Tapia grabs a nurse's hand. She leans in close, her voice barely audible. "He shot me. Please don't tell him that I told you, but he's the one who shot me." Then louder, desperate. "He's going to go back to the house. Please don't let him kill the kids." The nurse freezes. Children are in danger, but the shooter is standing right there. They need to treat the victim, protect themselves, and call police, all while Brown watches every move. During the drive to the hospital, Tapia later tells police, Brown was verbally and physically abusive. He held the gun to her while driving. Then he'd point it at himself, back to her, then to himself, like he couldn't decide who he wanted to kill more. At the hospital, Brown is getting agitated. He's pacing, watching the staff watch him. He starts making threats. "I'm going back to the apartment. I'm going to handle the children. I'm going to hurt myself." Medical staff keeps him talking, stalling. Every second matters. Officers speed toward Cross Hill Apartments. They don't know what they'll find. Dead children, wounded children, a hostage situation. They burst in. Blood trails on the floor, on the door frame, a broken bedroom door, and two traumatized children, alive, crying, but alive. The kids tell their story through tears, how they fought, how they tried to save their mother, how Brown shot her and took her away. At the hospital, Brown senses something's wrong. Maybe it's the way the staff is looking at him. Maybe he hears sirens in the distance. Before police arrive, he runs. He leaves Tapia there, bleeding but alive, and he disappears into Columbia's streets. The APB goes out immediately. Antavius Brown, 36, armed and dangerous, domestic shooting suspect, fled MUSC hospital. Approach with extreme caution. Threatened to harm children. Every unit in Columbia is looking for him. Officers spot his vehicle behind a business on Leesburg Road. When they approach, Brown does something that will be watched by thousands. He goes live on Facebook and promises the world he's about to die. Officers see Brown's 2021 Dodge sedan parked behind a business on Leesburg Road. They approach, rifles raised. Antavius Brown, exit the vehicle with your hands visible. Brown looks at them through the window, no fear in his eyes, just determination. He throws the car in reverse, tires screaming. The chase is on. Columbia PD and Richland County Sheriff's Department. Multiple units join the pursuit. Brown is weaving through traffic. He's not slowing down. 6 miles of Columbia streets become a deadly racetrack. And then Brown does something unprecedented. He pulls out his phone. He goes live on Facebook. One hand on the wheel, one hand holding his phone. Thousands of people start watching. Today is the day I die, y'all. The camera shakes violently as he drives. I'm sorry, y'all. I was so blessed. I had made it through. They behind me. They gonna kill me, y'all. I'm gonna make them kill me, y'all. Today is the day I die. Today is the day I die. Y'all. People are watching this in real time. Bro, stop. Pull over. Think about your son. You don't have to do this. But also, so all that because of you being on the DL. Even in his final moments, they're gossiping about his sexuality. Brown keeps talking to the camera. I'm sorry, y'all. Sorry. I am so sorry. I gave this all I could. You feel me? They coming. They coming. You feel me? And I got to go. I gave this all I could, y'all. Garner's Ferry Road and Hazelwood Road. 6 miles from where the chase started. 4 miles from where he shot Tapia. Brown approaches a major intersection. Traffic in all directions. Red light ahead. Officers radio ahead. Clear the intersection if possible. Alert all units. Suspect showing no signs of stopping. Prepare for worst-case scenario. They can see it coming. Everyone can see it coming. The live stream captures everything. The speedometer climbing. His hands steady on the wheel. The red light getting closer. No hesitation. No brake lights. Just acceleration. At that exact moment, 52-year-old Ryan Heyman was making a left turn from Hazelwood Road. Just another Saturday morning. He had no idea these were his final seconds. Ryan Blaine Heyman, 52 years old, originally from Bismarck, North Dakota. University of North Dakota graduate, Bachelor's of Business Administration, double major, Systems and Business Management. He spent 15 years at Washington Group, 1997 to 2012. Senior technician, desktop architect, network analyst, applications manager. He was the guy who kept systems running, the one who fixed problems before anyone knew they existed. When he left corporate life, he found his true calling. Triple Crown English Bulldog breeder. He loved those dogs, Lucy and Lily, his 2 beloved bulldogs. They were with him everywhere, including that Saturday morning. Family and friends described him as always happy and positive, the kind of man who brought love and laughter to everyone. Large family, so many nieces and nephews who adored him. He took them fishing, to concerts on outdoor adventures. He was the fun uncle, the one kids lit up around. Someone from a fantasy baseball league, someone who'd never even met Ryan in person, shared this story. He always treated people with kindness and lived with passion. He was quietly his own person. yet always acted the same toward people, regardless of what was going on in his own life. And then this. Once, when my dog had to be put down, Ryan offered me one of his prized bulldogs. Someone he'd never met face to face. That's who he was. December 28th, 2024. Saturday morning. Ryan was driving his 2001 Toyota 4Runner. Lucy and Lily in the car with him, like always. Maybe he was heading to grab breakfast, maybe running errands, maybe meeting a friend. We'll never know. Because at 12:30 p.m., he turned left from Hazelwood Road onto Garner's Ferry. That's it. Just a left turn. Brown's Dodge hits Ryan's Toyota at killing speed. Direct hit to the driver's side. The live stream captures it all. Phone tumbling, metal crushing, screams. Ryan's 4Runner flips. Once, twice, comes to rest, upside down. But it's not over. Brown's Dodge, now out of control, careens forward. Hits a 2005 Toyota sedan, stopped at the light. Glass exploding everywhere, smoke rising from engines. Multiple injured. But inside Ryan's flipped 4Runner, silence. Ryan Blaine Heyman was killed instantly. Zero chance of survival. Zero warning. Lucy and Lily, his beloved bulldogs, also dead. Their only crime, being passengers in a car that made a legal left turn. Ryan's crime, existing at the wrong intersection at the wrong moment. Inside Brown's mangled Dodge, the live stream continues. Then, a gunshot. Police would later determine Brown shot himself in the stomach during or immediately after the crash. The same gun he used to terrorize Tapia, now turned on himself. Emergency responders face a nightmare. Multiple trauma situations. Ryan's overturned 4Runner, the sedan that was hit, and Brown, gunshot wound to the stomach, still alive. Paramedics are trained to save lives, not judge them. But everyone at that scene knows an innocent man and his dogs are dead because of the man they're now trying to save. Brown is rushed to USC Hospital, ironically where this all began. Doctors work on him, but the damage is severe. Shortly after 12:30 p.m., Antavius Jerome Brown is pronounced dead. The live stream finally cuts, but thousands had watched. They'd witnessed a murder-suicide in real time. What they couldn't see, Ryan never had a chance. 3 crime scenes, 3 families destroyed, and now Columbia had to count the cost. Nudura Tapia survived. The bullet wound to her leg would heal physically. Doctors said she was lucky. Major arteries missed. But luck is relative when you're shot in front of your children. 2 kids who had to become warriors, who broke down doors and fought an armed adult, who watched their mother get shot, who spent hours not knowing if she was alive. They're safe now, physically. But what about the nightmares? What about the therapy they'll need for years? What about the trauma of knowing they had to save their own mother? Within weeks, Most Popular Podcast posted again. Tapia wasn't going to let Brown's violence silence her. If anything, her platform grew. She had a story now that other women needed to hear. A story of survival. Ryan's family received the notification on December 28th. Your loved one is gone. Car accident. Wrong place. Wrong time. Except it wasn't an accident. It was murder. A large family. Siblings, nieces, nephews, all asking, why? Why Ryan? Why their uncle who only brought joy? Why the man who offered his prized bulldogs to strangers in pain? Christmas 2024 was their last with Ryan. Now every holiday will carry his absence. Brown's mother posted days later, "My firstborn is really gone. Antavius J. Brown. Get it, Brown." His son grew up that day, lost his father, and will spend his life asking impossible questions. GB Tequila died with its founder. The music remains on streaming platforms, a digital ghost of dreams that turned to violence. Here's what haunts this case. The warning signs were everywhere. When I know I'm righteous, I'll go to war with whoever and die about it. That was a threat. My life is, and others are in danger. That was a plea for help. A mother publicly warning, if anything happens to my daughter, you already know who. Hundreds saw these posts. Many commented, some shared. But who called 911? Who reported the threats? Who took action? We treated it like entertainment, like drama, like content, until it became evidence at a crime scene. This case reveals a truth we can't ignore. Domestic violence never claims just the intended target. The children who had to fight to save their mother, victims. The stranger making a left turn, victim. His 2 dogs, victims. The community that watched it unfold online, traumatized. When someone posts, "I'll die before I let you go," that's not love. That's ownership. That's murder waiting to happen. Love doesn't point guns. Love doesn't broadcast death. Love doesn't kill strangers at intersections. So what do? How do we stop the next Antavius Brown? We believe victims the first time. When someone says, "My life is in danger," we act. We don't wait for proof. We don't dismiss it as drama. We report threats immediately. Screenshots to police. Calls to domestic violence hotlines. We make noise until someone listens. We recognize the signs. Escalating jealousy, isolation from friends and family, threats of violence, especially threats of suicide. If I can't have you, nobody can. These aren't romantic. They're deadly. If you're in danger right now, listen carefully. National Domestic Violence Hotline, 1-800-799-7233, available 24/7. In South Carolina, Sister Care at 803-765, SC Coalition Against Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault at 803-256-2900. You don't have to wait until he pulls a gun. You don't have to wait until he hits you. The threats alone are enough. Get out. Get help. Get safe. Ryan Heyman woke up on December 28th with plans. He never came home. Nudera Tapia's children will remember their mother's blood on the floor forever. Antavius Brown's son lost his father to violence. His father chose. 3 crime scenes, but it started with one ignored warning. If this story moved you, I need you to do 3 things right now. First, hit that like button. Not for me, for Ryan Heyman, for Nudera Tapia, for the 2 children who became heroes. So the algorithm shows this to someone who needs to see the warning signs. Second, share this video. Someone in your life might be seeing these red flags right now. Someone might be in danger and not know how to ask for help. This video could save their life. Third, subscribe to this channel, because we don't just tell these stories for entertainment. We tell them so the next victim recognizes the danger before it's too late. So the next Ryan Heyman doesn't have to die at an intersection. So the next child doesn't have to fight a grown man to save their mother. Hit that subscribe button. Turn on notifications, because tomorrow we're covering another case where everyone saw the signs, but no one acted. Another preventable tragedy. Another family destroyed. Rest in peace, Ryan Blaine Heyman. You deserved to come home that day. Lucy and Lily, loyal to the end. To the 2 children who fought to save their mother, you are heroes. To Nudera Tapia, your survival matters. Your voice matters. To anyone watching this who sees themselves in this story, get out. Today, right now. Because the threats always escalate, and tomorrow might be too late. See something. Say something. It might save a life. This is True Crime Tales Horjoku. I'll see you in the next one.